Hey guys, in today's video, I'll show you how to use Clay together with a tool called Twain in order to be able to write effective cold outreach LinkedIn messages and cold emails at scale, fully personalized using AI. And think about Twain as ChatGPT on steroids that already knows everything about your business and everything about the prospect. So all it's left to do is just to make this outreach messaging a lot more humane without you having to feed it specific templates or anything of that sort. So this requires 4 steps. The first step is for you to have some sort of company lists. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to quickly import a CSV file. You can do the same on your side. All you would do is just click on import CSV in the top right hand corner, drag and drop a bunch of company data. So for this, we just need a bunch of company websites, create a new blank table, complete the import. This should load inside of our Clay workspace. Once this has loaded, on the right-hand side, you can see that we have the websites of the companies, and this is the main thing that we need in order to later down the line to be able to find anyone that works this company. So if we go back into this step over here, the first step was to import the company hit list. Congrats, we made it this far. Step number 2 is to then find people working at those companies. There are a bunch of different ways to do that, but for the sake of this, we'll go into sources, we'll click on find people at these companies, and we'll filter for, let's say, HR. Over here, HR, people, and let's say what other staff as keywords. And at the very bottom, you need to find a company identifier. A company identifier just basically enables you to select what companies you want to find those hiring stakeholders at. So we'll reference the website of the companies, and there we are. We have 3,000 people that we found. In this case, I'm just going to limit it to 10 people, 2 people per company. And then let's just wait for this to load, then continue, and import to a new table. So up to this point, we've imported the company list. We found the people that work at these companies. And now that we're just 2 steps away from training up Twain to be able to generate personalized emails at scale for us. So the first step is research with Claygent. I will film another video when this update is out, when Twain actually does the research for you as well. But for the time being, we'll just be using Claygent. And simply put over here, remember, we have this first table. This first table was the company list. So we'll call this table 1 company list. And then we also have over here table 2, which is the people list, right? So table 2, people list. Let's just label those because once again, as you know, I'm super OCD with this. So by now, you should have a list of companies and a list of people that work at those companies. So for the people list, we need to use Claygent to research these companies. So the way we'll do that is we'll click on actions in the top right-hand corner. We'll type in Claygent. We'll then select Claygent over here. And we can even use this generate thing in order to write a really long prompt for us. So we can say, I want to research every possible sales signal for my staffing, every possible sales signal. They may be symptomatic of this company needing our staffing and recruitment service help, research, and then we will use the backslash to refer to the company name. So we'll say research company domain for any sales triggers, and research, and then we can say like full name with their, and then we'll import their LinkedIn URL to understand who they are, what they do, where they worked at before. And for context, as you can probably tell over here, all we're doing is we're just writing a simple prompt saying, hey, I want you to research the company, and we feed it the company domain. And then we say we want to research the person, and we give the LinkedIn URL. And then we say what they do. After that, After that, we can say where they worked before, and what their LinkedIn profile tells us about them. Also find me some of their colleagues that they work close to, and output in under 120 words. The reason we're doing in under 120 words is because, and after that we can click on generate. We're asking it to do this in under 120 words because Twain can only do inputs of less than, I think, 150 words. So we want to be on the safe side here. And And then over here, you can see it came up with all of this and magically just generates this huge prompt for you. And we haven't really done much. We just asked it to just, perform some basic research for us. It also chooses the model. Later down the line, we can also talk about how you can replace this and how you can do this without spending any Clay credits. But I'm more than happy to do it and spend a couple of Clay credits over here. Of course, we didn't filter based on geographies. You can see a bunch of like some foreign markets here, like Israel, Finland, and so on. That's absolutely fine. And then we'll just play the rows one by one. Best practice is to press one row at a time, but in this case, I'm fairly confident with what I'm doing. So I'm just going to load this, and I'll say step 1, research company, right? Let's give this a couple of seconds to load. And in the meantime, we can go to actions in the top right-hand corner, type in Twain, and generate message sequence. This will basically enable us to choose from a bunch of different sequences. I would recommend personally going for something like an email intro and 2 follow-ups. Let's just go for that. It should be a basic one. This is the prospect name. For the time being, we'll just click on X and then we'll save changes. And in the meantime, we can see over here, this is what it came up with. Sales triggers not found. As a staff software engineer unit, close colleagues not found. Okay, right now for this one it was pretty crap. Like, it didn't give us any research at all, which is pathetic. In which case we could have just said in the prompt like, hey, just if not found, just leave the output blank, which would have made it easier. But in this case, for instance, the company is undergoing leadership changes and nearing completion of the Thames Tideway Tunnel project, potentially triggering staffing adjustments. Priyesh Dogra is the lead platform systems admin, managing cloud infrastructure. Her colleague is Priyesh Dogra. This is her colleague, right? So this is quite useful. In this case, it talks about funding. It talks about, who's head of talent acquisition, HR, like what they did before. This is quite useful, right? So based on all of this information, and once again, we could have done so much better with this. This is just be improvising at 11 in the morning on a Sunday, right? So here we just click on edit column. And now we can say the prospect description. We'll say, here is a bit of info about the person. And then we'll say title at, and then we'll say company domain. And here is a bit more info. And then we can just give it the whole output of, the whole research that we've done. The trigger or signal, we can say, look for one here. And we could just input all the triggers from the output that we've generated here. Sequence instructions, we can say, personalize the first opening line so that it sounds like we did our research, and call the lead out on the signal that may be symptomatic of them needing to hire new people. Connect that signal to our offer and make it personalized using the inputs that were researched about the person and the company. Now, the reason we're doing this, and the reason that I'm going through this prompting myself without, fully improvised, without really explaining this to you, is quite simple. All you need to do is just basically tell it a bunch of information about the prospect that you researched inside of the Clay table, tell it a couple of signals, give it some basic instructions, explain what your company is. I'll just call it B2B staffing worldwide or something like that, right? And then ICP, a busy HR professional that can't be bothered to hire in-house and wants the recruitment process taken off their shoulders. Once again, this is not great, and I know this, but the point being here is you just give it a bunch of context, and then we can say we place candidates in under 30 days, or you get your money back. First 2 candidates are half price, something of that sort. And then we'll say worked with their competitors like Adidas, right? Something like that. And we'll say place the entire sales team for Adidas in New York. Once again, this is just random stuff over here. And then based on that, we can just save and run a couple of rows. And in this case, we can just click on play. Let's just click on play. And the beauty of Twain, once again, with all of this stuff where I haven't really given it too much good prompting or anything on that sort, you should see that just based on my very mediocre dry prompting, it generates a sequence. The first message is the best message of this entire sequence, where it says, once again, we haven't normalized the company name. This is the other thing here, but imagine if I wasn't that lazy. It would say something like, hey, I noticed Tideway is going through leadership changes as the tunnel project finishes up. Periods like this often mean adjusting staff or hiring new people, which can pull your attention away from cloud infrastructure, which is, by the way, the main thing that this person is responsible for. Finding qualified talent quickly is often tough when these changes happen and hiring needs shift. We place candidates in less than 30 days and even give the first 2 at half price. Are you open to a quick chat? Once again, pretty dry, mediocre copy, but the opening line is pretty good. So at the very least, you could be using Twain for the opening line of this email, which I think is commendable. It's a pretty good email in my opinion. Then if we look at some of the other ones here where it talks about the funding and so on, let's say opening email 1 again, it says, hey, Samuel, Player Lens just secured 780K in funding, while the last employee count was only 6. It's common for HR leaders to see a growing hiring backlog as a team scales up. Recruiting with speed often hits roadblocks, blah, blah, blah. Once again, this will get so much better if you prompted it better, because for context, this has just been 7 minutes of me just prompting away and just writing some very mediocre copy. But in a nutshell, if you were to use Twain for your copywriting, I highly recommend it. That all you basically need to do is source a company list, find people at the company, create one Claygent enrichment where you spend like half an hour thinking about, the exact, so over here, thinking about all of these exact fields, about explaining the prospect description, the triggers and signals that you look out for in these companies, what exactly you want Twain to sound like and so on in the sequence instructions, the ICP, the problem statements, all of this stuff. Based on that, I've seen the campaigns that it generates. Email 1 is a solid 8 or 9 out of 10, a lot of the time, if you spend like half an hour on prompting it correctly. And then based on that, you can just iterate. But in my opinion, if you're just getting started with Clay, this should be the first tool that you use when it comes to copywriting, because alternatively, you need to think of copywriting and do it through, this message thing where you're saying something like, hi, first name, and then you're generating, variable by variable, like I saw that you are and then job title, like if you're generating it like this is a lot more tedious, a lot more manual, and there is a lot of steps that would need to come into effect in order for you to actually learn, the copywriting stuff more effectively. But if you want to shortcut that learning curve, I think Twain is great for that, because it's just basically you just create a prompt. And the best thing is that if I just show you here now, if you save this prompt, and if you click on edit column, and then if you save as template, then later when you click on browse templates, you should see over here that the prompt has been saved, right? And this will then basically enable you to load a prompt very fast without you needing to, generate it completely from scratch. So in a high level overview, this is the 4 steps you need to take in order to use Twain together with Clay. So you import a company list, you find the people, you research, the prospect or the company using Claygent, and then you use Twain for just personalizing the outreach. And the result of that is just you get a highly personalized outreach message. More than that, for those of you that are, the cold email deliverability nerds that worry about being stuck in junk all the time, there is this thing called spintax, which you may be familiar with. So spintax is just basically the ability to bypass the spam filters inside of other prospects' inbox. And because Twain always varies the email copy, like no 2 emails are exactly the same, because of that, you spintax every email, which is like not the main intention of using Twain, but still it means that, you're probably less likely to be stuck in spam compared to, sending the same outreach template at a bunch of people. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, let me know. And yeah, best of luck with your copywriting, and I'll see you in the next one.